The way I perceive doubt is one of the most crippling emotions or feelings, because it simply puts you in this standstill. It's the donkey that is between water and hay, and he goes, well, do I eat? Do I drink? Do I eat? Do I drink? He doesn't know what to do, and he just drops dead of thirst and hunger, right? Because he didn't actually do it. And so I think for the case is somebody has to get very clear with what their values are.
Yeah.
And so what's important to me? Like, what is it that actually I am drawn toward? A lot of people say to me, like a guy came up to me in the gym yesterday. He was like, dude, you're in amazing shape. I'm like, all right, I've got a pump on. I've got carbs running through my system. I'm like, all right, I'm like vascular right now. Like I'm looking the best I'm going to look right now. And I said to him, I was like, oh, dude, give me 20 minutes after the gym and the pump's going to be gone and I look different. But I appreciate the kind words.
Right.
But as you said, or as you kind of pointed to previously, like what impresses me is a multi-dimensional man. Yeah. And so for me, I found the concept of compromise something that I didn't jibe with. And I find a lot of people, I could see and point to other people. I'm going to specifically say men because that's my personal experience. So I could specifically point and look at these other men and be like, you're sacrificing and making compromises. Do you mean? And it's a typical story. A guy gets super successful building a business, but he loses his marriage. I mean, he climbs up one wall of success, but he loses the relationships with his children. He does something really good over here, but he's overweight and unhappy. And I was just like, why are we making these compromises? This does like I just saw this like landscape in front of me, and I was like, I'm not saying yes to this. I'm not subscribing to this. And I want to be able to check these boxes. And I'm not trying to check all of the boxes. I'm trying to check the boxes that I value and important to me. And one of them is I want to be in good physical shape and I want to look, feel, and perform at my best every day, because we are in this physical body. As much as the spiritual you want to get, you're still walking around in this meat suit right now, and you've got to take care of it. And it's our catalyst to do the things that we do in this life as well. So for me, it's a case of when people come to me and they say, oh, like you're in really great shape. How do I get in shape like you? And they're going to ask questions. Or they say commonly as well, oh my God, you're so disciplined. Now, I appreciate and I understand where this comes from. And I think where a lot of people go wrong is thinking that they need to be disciplined. I think that's only one slice of the pie, or let's say one layer of the onion. And I think the deeper layer in that onion is, what is the identity that I have of myself? What is the story that I tell myself? I woke up this morning and I told myself that I'm this story and I'm being this person and I say these things and I do these things and all of this other stuff. And so if I can get to the root and actually change and manipulate and craft and cultivate the identity of who I want to be, I naturally do the things I need to do. And so the way I actually thought about this recently was there was a Buddha quote, and he said, when compassion and emptiness has arisen, enlightenment is unavoidable. And I was like, damn, that's a pretty bold statement to say. Like enlightenment, something that's pretty bloody big, a lot of people want to achieve, is unavoidable.
Wow.
That's like he's laying out a recipe, right? He's just saying, like, you do this, you get this outcome. It's cause and effect. And so for me, I actually took it from the business concept, and I was like, okay, well, what is it that's my recipe?
Have you subscribed? If not, this is the best time for you to subscribe, whether you're on the YouTube or on the podcast. Why? Because it would be a bummer if you missed out on everything that's to come, or don't subscribe if you're not actually getting much value out of this, because there is a zillion other things that you could be doing. So I'd rather you go and do that. The ball's in your court.
What is it that is my cause to create a successful business? The effect, right? What is the cause? Who's the person that I have to be? What is it that I therefore need to do to affect, become the person, look the way that I want, be the way I want to be, all of that good stuff as well. So that's just kind of like the weird way that my brain works at the moment, trying to figure this stuff out.
I love it, man. I love it. I'm digging it, man. That's awesome.
So yeah, I got so many questions right now because yeah, you're dropping a lot of gems and quotables right here. So Chris, I appreciate this. I'm curious for you, especially when you talk about the experience that you have is mostly for men, right? And I noticed like on your videos, you had a good amount of things here, like, okay, what can men do? Like things for men. Do you find like what are your experiences with getting men to resist compromising? And what do you see as like the seat of the compromise or the root of the compromise?
It's a great question. I don't think I've ever thought about it this way. So I'm just going to riff right now and see what I'll be thinking about. I'm just going to make noises out of my mouth and let's see if anything. The root of somebody making a compromise is essentially going to be down there to their belief systems. And so if I do not believe that I can become this person, achieve these things, then I'm simply not going to act towards that. And then I can be affected by whichever emotion kind of comes up. Let's say doubt. Doubt, the way I perceive doubt, is one of the most crippling emotions or feelings because it simply puts you in this standstill. It's the donkey that is between water and hay, and he goes, well, do I eat? Do I drink? Do I eat? Do I drink? He doesn't know what to do, and he just drops dead of thirst and hunger, right? Because he didn't actually do it. And so I think for the case is somebody has to get very clear with what their values are.
Yeah.
And so what's important to me? Like, what is it that actually I am drawn towards? What is the pain that I want to go away from? Yeah. And it's that self-introspection that I think is really important. And that's like when people talk about like doing the work, like for me, like doing the work is like, you know what? Like this is my journal right here. I was writing in it doing 20 minutes before we hit record. And for me, this is the best personal development book that you're ever going to get because this is where, do you know what I mean? Like you can't bullshit yourself. I find it interesting where between my brain and the tip of my pen, there is like bullshit detector. And it's, oh my God, like I can't do that because you can, or yes. Hopefully I think you get better as you go along, but like, and there's actually a really good essay by Harry, there's a really good essay called On Bullshit, and he explains the difference between bullshit and lying. And bullshitting is really like you think you want this outcome, but you're going to self-deceive yourself in some way. You're going to kind of cut corners around what's needed to get there. And I think it's a case of if someone's making compromises, there's a belief system that probably needs to be looked at. There's a value system that is probably needed to be looked at. And it's going to most likely happen through introspection. But then also there's the case of being able to use somebody else as a mirror. So for example, do you know what I mean? Paul, with yourself, like I can't see what's behind me, right? So I can't see what's behind me, but you can see what's behind me, right? So I need to, and I think this is how us as like men, as humans need to be able to better do this, is we need to be in conversation with each other in an open-hearted, wanting to best help each other way, willing to say the hard things. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like I actually, a couple of nights ago, I was with a couple of mates and I said something to a mate and it was with love, but it could definitely have been perceived as like, oh dude, that's a bit harsh. Like I was calling him out, right? I was like, yo, you're not living up to the level of where you're at right now. And I'm saying this with love to be able to kind of like, do you mean go, oh shit, career's up. What am I actually doing right now? So I think for me, it's being able to have that self-introspection, but also being able to be in conversation with others, with the right people, so that I know where my blind spots are, because we all have blind spots. And so if I know where my blind spots are, and therefore I can better adjust as to how I move forward.
If you've enjoyed this episode and it's vibed with you, then make sure that you hit subscribe, whether you're on the YouTube or on the podcast. And importantly, if there is any guests that you want me to have on the show or specific questions or topics that you want me to be able to cover for you, simply put it into the YouTube comments or send me an Instagram DM. That way I can make sure you're getting the most out of actually being here.